Well. Look who's made it to my second episode. That's right, this is your Captain Adventurina speaking for another episode of my travel podcast. If you decided to tune in again, that means you either liked the first episode or you are the same travel freak as me, or both. Whatever it is, all are welcome, and thank you guys for listening. I'm reminding you to hit subscribe if you want to keep hearing from me and soon from other travelers. Yes, talking to other fellow travelers will be a big part of my show because I love funny stories, funny and embarrassing, actually. Everyone who travels has them, it's inevitable. Those are my favorite because traveling is never perfect and things can get so unpredictable and completely out of plan, which I personally hate from the bottom of my heart, shaped as a globe, but it does happen. In general, I love people who don't care about sharing their mistakes and talking with details about them. I do it all the time. After all, no one is perfect. We often put on social media only what we want to be seen, but not everyone feels comfortable, sharing their small hiccups, as I sometimes say, especially in a world where people sometimes compete on the internet with fellas they don't even know. And in my opinion, there is just something really powerful in a person who doesn't care to post a photo with a goddamn pimple, for example. It's just super confident and cool in a way. There is nothing wrong with making mistakes. There is nothing wrong with making it wrong as well. Because if we don't make mistakes, we basically don't learn. And a mistake doesn't mean a failure, right? Just like a bad day doesn't mean a bad life, I love that and I want to talk about it. We learn from our mistakes. Other people learn from our mistakes. Of course, some people want you to think that they did it from the first time. No complications, no problems, but challenges are everywhere and that makes it hard not to make a mistake, right? So the people you admire for never dropping the ball, I guarantee you that at some point they did. They just never told anything and never showed anyone. That's why I love people who don't care about showing their mistakes. Because as I said, after all, your mistakes brought your progress, right? If you open a guide for visiting a place, you will most of the time see what to do, where to go, how to get there. Not every guide will tell you though what not to do and what to avoid. Often we accomplish our goals just because we kept making mistakes. And at the end, that led us to success. And it's the same with traveling. I don't want to just hear about how to spend a day in whatever city. I want to hear what challenges you went through while booking, researching, and experiencing. What's behind the blog post? What's behind the photo? Behind the video? As I said in the pilot, I prefer to talk about the challenges we go through when planning our trips and while traveling in general. We all admire the nice, flawless photos on the internet, for example, but the truth behind them is a little different most of the time. First of all, let's normalize not having a perfect picture with a super fancy dress and no people in the background, plus, perfect light. It's just hard to achieve this result, unless you're a professional photographer, which is not the case for many of us. I know people get really competitive nowadays when it comes to presenting themselves and their experiences on social media, but I feel like the viewers can always tell what's real and what's not. Trying to take the perfect picture often affects the whole experience. Let's talk about phototourism, for example. People who are taking thousands of pictures of the same thing without even seeing the actual thing in front of them with their own eyes are my least favorite travelers. I'm not judging, I'm just being honest. What's the point of having 37 same photos of the same goddamn thing but not to have the memory in your head, right? Like, do you even remember this moment? Just don't be that person. I'm not saying don't take pictures at all, but take a look first. Enjoy the view or the landmark or whatever it is, and then snap up your pictures. Just make sure you actually see it with your own eyes instead of just trying to capture the perfect photo for Instagram or whatever other platform you upload your pictures on. Read the story if there is a display with information. Ask around, use some tour guide if they're around. Because I remember asking people who have just came back from a vacation. I would ask things about their destination, like interesting facts, history behind different places, and sometimes they can't even tell me a single thing. It's like they were there to only observe without learning anything. Like, isn't that the best part of traveling? You learning about other cultures and stuff you will never learn if it's not for you to go there. Don't get me wrong, I love beautiful pictures taken with ideas, nice outfit, and I just like when everything fits together. But often behind all of this, there is timing, season, equipment, abilities, and very often filters. Meaning you can have the best outfit and you can be at the same place as this girl or guy you saw on Instagram, but your photos just don't turn out the same way. And it's because most of the time you are looking at pictures taken by people who know what they're doing. Even with the best camera and features, the person behind the equipment still has to pick the angle. So you have to be good at that. You don't have to just rely on your camera and the fact that it's a new one, because we know all the smartphones now, they do have good cameras. Another reason is the time, because lighting is everything when taking pictures. You most likely have no idea when the picture you admire was taken, so it's hard for you to recreate it. I have read so many comments of people on the internet who are literally pissed because they visited a place and it didn't look like they expected. Well, you shouldn't only trust one source of information, my friend. No offense, but in a world where every smartphone comes with 8,000 filters and edit options, you should have done better research. You also can't expect nice and green photos, for example, in the middle of winter. Let's be realistic. So people get disappointed because they can't achieve the result of what they see on social media. I personally have tried to recreate cool photos that I've seen on the internet, but most of the time I see how complicated it is and I kind of get tired of it. So I lose interest and I'm like, not worth it. As long as I have a memory from this place, I don't care if it's the dream photo or if it's Instagrammable. And for some reason, I have always disliked this word, Instagrammable. Just the idea of Instagrammable is pretty self-explanatory. You do it for Instagram, not for yourself. Or at least that's my understanding. And yes, I of course want to have nice pictures from my travels, but I don't get obsessed over it. So sometimes I would ask, a person to take a second one or third one of me, but I'm not gonna stay there wasting time of snapping pictures when I can go explore something much more interesting. All those examples show us that part of the day, settings, equipment, and forecast are a huge part of the way we present our experience on social media, but they're also a great way for us to mislead other people, want it or not. So what do you do for the perfect photo? Do you care if you don't get it? Do you aim for it? Like, are you one of the people who ask their partner or travel buddy for multiple shots and you're never satisfied with the result? I bet every one of you guys has seen someone who's like, yeah, can you take this one? Can you try this one? Go from the other side, like so many instructions. Every time there is like one person who's struggling to take pictures of their friend, another one who's struggling to explain what they want. I personally try to take a look first to, observe everything, to memorize it in my head, possibly read a little bit of history, and then I start taking pictures. Sometimes I would be like, oh my God, this is so impressive, and I couldn't help it. So I would just, take out my phone and take a picture, but then I make sure I go through the rest. I look, I observe, I read, I just walk around. Because in general, I do take a lot of pictures, but I always make sure I take my time and I enjoy the actual view with my own eyes, not just through the camera. Back to the photo tourism. What's the normal quantity of pictures you guys take of a landmark, let's say? Do you just take one picture of the actual thing, or you like snapping different angles, like 5, 6 maybe, of a building, for example? Because think about it. How different can all the pictures be? Like, you're gonna snap from 3 different angles and that's it. The rest would be the same because you're basically taking the same picture multiple times. Do you take photos with every single pretty thing you see on the streets, or you prefer to take a picture of the pretty thing without you being part of it? Do you only take photos of the main attractions, or you like taking pictures of all your surroundings and kind of like snapping one of those short moments when everything aligns in a really good way for a picture? You know what I mean? Also, if you post on social media, when do you post? I'm just curious. During vacation or after vacation? Do you like posting pictures, or you just like sharing stories? Or both? I'm just interested because I feel like everyone is different. I personally take a lot of photos while traveling. I just try to capture everything beautiful that I see because I know later on these pictures will be my memories. Because in some years, I don't know how many we'll see, but I'm sure I won't have vivid memories from many of the places I've been to. So the pictures will be the only thing for me to look at and to actually remember a place. My pictures are nothing special in general, at least not the ones I am in. Most of them are just me in the middle with the landmark in the background, super cheesy. I'm not good at posing either. I get so uncomfortable that most likely I will either stick out my tongue, or I will just do some stupid face, crossed eyes. Just it's always better for me to take a stupid picture than a serious one for some reason. I actually prefer to take pictures instead of being taken pictures of. And I'll tell you why. It's just easier for me to do it myself instead of having to explain to someone what kind of angle I want. Sometimes I just want specific things. I used to have a DSLR camera, so I spent, I want to say, maybe 2 years just walking around and taking nice pictures with it. Some of them are still one of my favorites, so I like picking angles and specific places to put the camera in so I can snap exactly what I want. I just prefer to catch it myself. Otherwise, I have to be, okay, stay there, so I'm gonna take a picture of you to show you what I want, and then you try to do the same for me. And some of my pictures from this DSLR camera are actually pretty damn good, but it's hard to explain to another person. Back to the question with posting. I feel like there are at least 3 types of uploaders. Is that even a word? Uploaders? Probably not. Maybe I just made it up. Okay, let's say there are at least 3 types of people who upload pictures. And let me tell you how I divide them. First kind of people is they upload a bunch of photos as a post a few times from their destination. I feel like that's me. I just don't upload during my vacation. I most likely would start posting towards the end, and I mostly post after. So once the vacation is finished, that's when I post the most. The second kind of people is the ones who only upload stories. Just snap in the moment and uploading it. They never really post any pictures. They only share stories, and in 24 hours they're gone. And I used to not really understand the purpose of a story. I thought that, it can be something you took a picture of months ago. I would upload something super old and people are like, what the hell? When was that? And I'm like, guys, it's a story, which means it's in the past. If it's in the past, it can be from 1 year ago. They're like, what the hell? Do you even know what stories on Instagram mean? I'm like, I guess I don't. So anyway, third kind of people who post pictures, that would be the people who only post one photo from their vacation, like a summary of the whole trip, When it comes to the stories, I remember once I posted something from the last night in the middle of the day, and a friend of mine texted me something like, okay, that's definitely not from now. And I'm like, yeah, it's from last night, so why do you expect it to be from now? I guess the idea for the stories on Instagram or whatever is to be from the exact moment. But I never think of posting something right after. So I never take a picture and go straight to any social media to upload it. Everything you see on my social media is something that I take a picture of at least hour or two ago, or sometimes even a day or a few days. I'm not gonna waste my time not living in the moment just to go on Instagram and post something, because I don't like the idea of thinking of Instagram first while I'm experiencing something. I want to focus on the experience. If I see something awesome, if I want to capture a moment, I will definitely take a picture, but I will never upload it at the moment. This kind of takes from living in the present for me, and I also don't even think of Instagram when I experience something cool. Because can we wait? Like, no one expects anything from us, and no one is pressuring us to post. I prefer to post even 1 week after my vacation, but to enjoy the moment. And I really like when I go home after traveling and I start checking my pictures, and then I decide what to upload, because it's like reliving the whole vacation. I vividly remember on one of my solo trips to Arizona and Utah, I was on a boat at Lake Powell, and there was a man who was carrying a selfie stick with him the whole time, and who, I swear to God, took at least 7,000 pictures while being on this boat. He was, I want to say, between 65 and 70 years old. So good for you that you're traveling. Amazing that you still can do it and that you decided to do it. Not everyone is willing to travel at such an old age. His back was basically facing the beautiful view the whole time. He only saw the view through his screen. That is actually sad. I'm pretty sure he didn't take a single look at the freaking lake or the water itself or the rocks. He was just walking around with the stick, staring at the phone and trying to get the best angle. I don't know if he got the best angle. I know that he got at least 8,000 pictures. I'm pretty sure I took a picture of him at some point, because I'm like, I haven't seen anything like that in my life. At first, it was funny, as I thought he just, really likes to take photos of himself. But after 5 minutes, I'm like, aren't you gonna look at this shit at least? Nope. The picture was more important, I guess, and he kept taking them. I also don't really get why you would use a selfie stick when you travel in a group and there are a bunch of people around you to help you taking photos. But no judgment. I'm just saying I don't understand. That doesn't mean it's not right. Maybe it is. Let me guys know what you think. But do you remember this photo of a concert venue and people at the fans taking photos of whatever is happening on the stage? The one where there is an old lady just standing up and enjoying the moment without her phone, just watching, and all the other people are holding phones, taking pictures, and they just see what's happening through the camera. And that's what I'm talking about. Often when we try to capture a moment, we just end up not remembering it in our mind. And I know I'm getting nostalgic again, just like in the pilot, but I remember being a kid and having a camera which would only give you, I believe it was like 36 shots. So you can only snap 36 pictures, and you will have to wait for days, if not even weeks, to develop them. That was actually cool in a way, because you would really use those limited amount of photos for only things that are worth it. Not like now, snapping every little single thing 10 times in a second. Then we knew we only had a certain chances, and we would not waste them for mediocre stuff. I personally am the kind that posts everything. I just love taking pictures, and I hate sending separately to friends and family, because I always keep my closest friends and my family updated while traveling. So I feel like posting is better, as you only get to do it once and everyone can see it. And of course, I use my social media platforms to promote my website and my podcast now. So, it's a great opportunity for more people to see my content. It's essential for that. And keeping people interested means giving them something nice to see. The photos we see prior to our trip inevitably set some expectations for us. It's up to us, though, to see enough photos from different sources and make sure our expectations will meet the reality. So can our expectations be so high that we end up feeling disappointed by a place or a landmark? What if what we saw on the internet didn't match the reality and we feel screwed up? Kinda. Well, that can only happen with an entire destination if you didn't do your research right. So think of what really makes you not liking a destination. What's that thing that can absolutely disappoint you and make you not want to go back there ever again? With other words, let's talk about what makes you not like a place. What is the thing that makes you not like a place? Is it something related to the streets you're walking on? Is it something you know as a fact prior to your trip? Which would be weird because why would you go somewhere if you didn't like the place in general? Is it how people act, the lifestyle? Is it something that happened, like an unpleasant experience at the airport, for example, or some kind of accident that will remind you of this place? Is it challenges with a rental car or misunderstanding with the staff at the hotel? Is it the trash? What is it? Is it you always complaining about everything? I'm just kidding. If it is, again, no judgment here, just curious. For me, I feel like there is no way not to like a place. I always travel with the mindset that whatever I see, it's new, it's exciting, so there's no way for me not to like it. There are places I like less, but so far I haven't been to a place I completely dislike. I actually can't think of a place I would not go back to. I mean, in general, if I had a chance, I would go everywhere twice at least. But after I have finished everything else, let's say, I think I would always find something cool anywhere to go back to. That's the truth for me. And you know what they say? When you go to a country that is doing better than your country, think how to improve yours and learn from that country. When you go to a country that is doing worse than yours, be grateful that you have something that other people don't. Let me know in the comments, guys, what's the biggest disappointment you have experienced when traveling when it comes to expectations of landmarks? What's the place you saw and you were like, okay, I guess? I'm curious. If you have a place you took a picture of and it was completely different than what you expected, please send it to adventulina@gmail.com. I will post the most ridiculous ones and of course I will give you credit. So send away, guys. Let's see who gets to win number 1 of ruined expectations. What's your happy place? People often ask. I truly believe the destination you're visiting is equally beautiful to the happiness you feel at the moment. I feel like if you're happy at the moment, you're going to like any place. You'll be happy everywhere. You bring the happiness with you. So for me, it's not really about the place itself. It's more like the way I feel because we bring ourselves everywhere we go. Places most of the time don't change, but we do. And it's important the way you feel when you visit a place because this can literally make you hate it or love it. Let's say you go to Los Angeles, for example. You're super happy, you're in a healthy relationship, you have friends, you have a great job. In general, you're in a good place in your life. So you go there and you enjoy every second of it. And even if it's not that great, you're gonna give it more credit than it deserves because you're in a good stage of your life. So that makes you feel like everything around you is better, everything aligns. At least that's how it works for me. So I'm sure maybe more people will be like, oh yeah, that's me too. And at the same time, if you go there, I guess I'm gonna keep with Los Angeles since I started with it. If you go to Los Angeles and you're like miserable, you're not happy with your life, you hate your job, you don't have friends, you broke up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, you're single, you don't know what to do, you're kind of lost. If this is your first time in Los Angeles, you always remember this first time. And every time you hear probably the name of the city, you will most likely relate this city to, the certain period of your life back when you visited. And your experience at the time will affect the whole thing. You're gonna remind yourself that you were miserable when you visited this place, and most likely you will never give it a second chance. Or if you did, it will be hard to change your first impression. I could say my happy place is San Francisco because when I first arrived here 5 years ago, I was in a good place in my life. I had everything I wanted at the time, and I was living my best life here. I fell in love with the city right away. It changed me a lot, and literally, I think it's okay to say my life kind of has two stages, before San Francisco and after San Francisco. This is the truth for me. Coming here did change my life indeed. My first summer here, I was by myself. I was just an intern with almost no friends, and I still loved my time in San Francisco. I still enjoyed every second of it. I would go out with some coworkers and roommates from time to time, but in general, I was hanging out by myself and I was exploring the city daily. I guess I felt really good about myself back then and really good about what I was doing and, what was in the future for me at the time. I also remember I had a bucket list with 67 places in San Francisco I needed to see for the whole summer, and I think it's not necessary to say that I crossed them off. Towards the end of the summer, I even added a few more, which I crossed off as well. But it was a great summer, yeah. So feeling good about myself made me appreciate the city and made me see it in a way that will always remind me of good experiences. Even if I have come across, some challenges here over the time, I would always relate San Francisco to my first experience, good memories, and they always come first because that's the initial impression I had, I guess. I believe the first impression is really important, not just for people, but for places as well. It's just hard to erase a first impression in your mind. I do believe that. I would say just surround yourself with nice people, good people, travel buddies, and you'll see that every place can be a happy place if you're just with the right people. Yes, the right people and the right planning. That's why in the next episode, guys, we're going to talk about how to create the perfect travel itinerary. I have had a lot of people asking me, how do I plan my trips? How do I put together my itineraries? How do I do it so fast? Next time, I'm going to give you all the steps that I go through when I plan my trips. I'm going to give you all the secrets. I'm going to tell you all the tricks I do in order for me to make sure that I will see the most of my destination for the time I'm spending there. And of course, budget friendly, my number one thing. Like I told you guys, I'm not rich. I'm trying to make the most of my money everywhere I go. So I'll see you for the next episode, revealing the secrets of the perfect travel itinerary. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm reminding you to hit subscribe if you did, and I will see you next time. Let me see if I got it right this time. Bon voyage.